What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new week and another all-new edition of the HN Cut, where we bring you our take on some of the biggest and best characters ever in the history of fiction, and how we would tackle these major franchises on the big screen. In our fourth installment of Josh's DC Cinematic Universe, we bring you the return of a major DC Comics character. The major DC Comics character, some would argue, Superman. So buckle up, strap in, and get ready for Superman, Son of Krypton. The film opens with a narration by an unknown figure, giving a montage and a recap of humanity's history since a meteor landed near the Netherlands. The modern man was born in that moment, leading to the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, Classical Antiquity, the Middle Ages, and eventually the Contemporary Age. From this moment, we see the various technological achievements of the first oil machines, atomic energy, and space travel technology as we enter the 1990s. We then enter a sort of TED Talk setting, with billionaire Alexander Luthor Sr. talking about the role of the modern man in a futuristic world. Alexander talks of a world without wars, suffering, or governments as we know. He says eventually humanity will have to come together as one large community, likely with certain areas specializing in different industries. While he's respected, it's obvious people view him as too much of a futurist, out of his own time. We then transition to Smallville, Kansas, as Jonathan and Martha Kent are driving home on a long, dark road. Suddenly, a flash of light and a rocket of unknown origin appears before them, crashing on the side of the road. Martha urges Jonathan to take a look when they stop, and when they arrive, they find in the rocket a baby. A pre-recorded message then plays from Jor-El, stating that the baby is his son and the last son of a dying planet named Krypton. He asks the Kents to protect and raise him, along with some other instructions and advice, and, things that they are going to learn in time, but that they don't fully comprehend at that moment. While confused, they decide to take the baby and rocket as they drive off towards Kent Farm. Flashing forward more than 20 years, we find Clark Kent, who's just moved to the city of Metropolis after finishing college with a degree in journalism. Metropolis is called the City of Tomorrow, as the Luthor family has helped push innovation and made the city a model across the world for the peak of human ingenuity. Having a passion for helping others as he was taught by his pa that all lives are worth saving, Clark gets a job at the Daily Planet, writing mainly stories on poverty, crime, and really not big news stories, not the headlines. It's the crime beat, some of the smaller stories at the paper. When he tries asking for a larger story, he's told to stay in his lane, unlike the 3-year Daily Planet veteran Lois Lane, who is a hotshot reporter writing whatever she wants. He adopts a persona that won't attract too much attention in case his abilities accidentally cause issues, which, honestly, the low profile of the paper helps. But Metropolis, even though it's a shining city of the future, has a dark side as well. Tasked with writing a story on a recent surge of crime in the so-called suicide slum, Clark does some digging, asking around and canvassing the area for comments. Before he leaves, he hears a voice yelling for help, though. Without hesitation, he cancels his Uber and runs toward the noise, finding a few gang members beating up a teenager. When Clark intervenes, the attackers quickly turn their attention on him, which is no problem as their weapons have no effect on Clark. Being careful to not be too obvious about his powers, he uses his superhuman speed slightly and his reflexes to dodge the attacks and make them hit each other. The teen is able to hide, but not before taking pictures of Clark against the gangsters. When they finally run away, Clark takes the teen somewhere safe, and after talking, they learn that the teenager is called none other than Jimmy Olsen, who is being mugged since he's on the street. So Clark offers him an opportunity. Take photos for him for his story, and he can stay in the extra room Clark has in his apartment. Jimmy gladly accepts, and he starts taking photos for Clark's stories, as holding a camera steady sometimes doesn't go well for Clark given his super strength and being a little bit clumsy in that persona. His experience in the suicide slums inspires him to start proactively helping people in danger throughout Metropolis with a combination of his superhuman strength, speed, durability, and senses. Eventually, his efforts become bigger news, at least a big enough story to attract the attention of hotshot reporter Lois Lane. Lois writes about it, titling the article, "Does Metropolis Have a Superhuman Samaritan?" as almost all witness accounts describe Clark's amazing abilities, yet he never asks for a reward, only how he can further help. This leads to people attempting to record his acts to create viral videos, and this continues for several months as Clark also becomes more seasoned as a reporter, being given more and more say on his stories. At the same time, Clark also begins noticing in both jobs that government agents start posing as criminals or victims to try trapping him. Dubbed the Samaritan by the media, which started with Lois's story, his attire is simple. It's just a blue t-shirt, jeans, Timberland boots, and a ski mask. One day, however, after Lois writes another story wondering if the Samaritan is an alien, an unknown extraterrestrial ship arrives above Metropolis. A figure comes down, strikingly tall, with green skin and 3 dots on its forehead. It calls itself the Collector, and says it wishes to discuss the collection of Metropolis and the Samaritan. Clark, as the Samaritan, goes to confront the Collector's avatar on top of the Daily Planet, but is trapped by the creature and knocked out. Clark awakens in the strange ship, being scanned among other analyzing devices. The Collector then appears in front of Clark, calling him Kal-El of Krypton. Clark is confused, but the being reintroduces himself as Vril Drox, the ultimate collector of knowledge in the universe. Vril Drox explains that Metropolis was being watched by the Collector, as it was currently the pinnacle of human achievement versus the other cities of the world. However, he started paying extra attention once Clark appeared and started his heroics, displaying clearly superhuman abilities. Drox remarks that humanity has vast potential as a species, but is not capable of doing what Clark has been observed to do, and wouldn't be for quite some time, making him something worth researching. The scan that was ongoing on Clark then completes, indicating an anomaly. Vril Drox cloaks the ship while taking it to Smallville in order to learn more about Clark's origins. The Collector takes Clark's ship, the rocket pod he arrived in as a baby, and analyzes the data within it. Clark states that this is actually the first time that he's seen the ship, just being told that he was special when he was younger. It's then that a holographic projection of Jor-El appears, asking if Kal-El would like to learn the history of his people. Drox urges Clark, who is also interested, to say yes, prompting Jor-El's AI. We, like Clark, then learn the origin of Krypton and the Kryptonians for the first time. Far in the future, humans have overpopulated the Earth, while also genetically engineering themselves to be naturally stronger, faster, more durable, and intelligent. Because of this, they started colonizing worlds, but to live there, they would further alter a human's physiology so that they could inhabit that world more successfully. Krypton was one such colony, located hundreds of light years away from Earth, orbiting the red sun Rao. Due to this, the inhabitants were augmented further to withstand the harsh environment of the planet. They have a higher body temperature due to less heat from the sun, they absorb more energy via an enhanced electromagnetic field around their bodies to absorb more energy due to the lack of energy from a red sun, and we then see that due to the lack of natural resources on Krypton, they relied on highly experimental nuclear sources for hundreds of years, which eventually irradiated the planet, causing unforeseen reactions. Jor-El, the head of the Kryptonian Science Division, had a radical proposal, saying that they could travel back to Earth to preserve the Kryptonian race using an untested spacecraft that theoretically could bend space-time to allow long-distance travel seemingly instantaneously. But the Kryptonian government decided not to proceed with Jor-El's plans due to public outcries over the planet's fate, which was a secret, so Jor-El decided to send his only son instead. However, when they were just outside of orbit, Krypton exploded, causing Jor-El to activate the untested features which transported Kal-El to Earth, which is really in the past. Drox then asks Clark if he now understands the truth of who he is, to which Clark responds with, "From another planet." Vril Drox, now called Brainiac by Clark due to his urge to collect knowledge, explains yes and no. Clark is technically an alien, but just from a future civilization based upon Earth. Brainiac remarks that luckily for Clark, this makes them an offshoot race of humanity, allowing him to breed with a human female if he desired. He also explains Clark's abilities, even suggesting theoretical abilities Clark naturally wouldn't attempt, such as using heat vision, X-ray vision, and flight, which is a byproduct of manipulating the electromagnetic field surrounding his body. However, Brainiac says that Clark needs more direct exposure to the yellow sun to charge himself. To assist his new experiment, Brainiac also recreates the clothing attire Kryptonians would wear based upon Jor-El's instructions and gives it to Clark. He then gives Clark the Kryptonian materials to learn, which is easy with his enhanced intellect. Curious to Brainiac's intentions, he learns he's wearing Kryptonian attire and learning more about Krypton due to Brainiac wanting to collect him. Brainiac is hoping this will make Clark more authentic as a Kryptonian, thus increasing his value. Trying to escape, Clark takes his ship and uses it to burn a hole and fly back to Metropolis. However, he opens the shielding on the ship to soak in as much yellow sun exposure as possible, feeling better than he ever has. Appearing to the millions of people in Metropolis as he crashes in the middle of their Times Square, he stuns and scares many, including billionaire Lex Luthor Jr., watching from LexCorp's building. Before he can do much, Brainiac sends drones to recapture Clark, now fully in his Kryptonian gear without a mask. Clark destroys them all, taking special care to avoid property damage and injuries in this city, even unleashing his heat vision for the first time in the process. Lois, in the meantime, is reporting on this, with Jimmy taking photos for her since Clark is missing. Clark, tired of seeing Metropolis being damaged because of him, jumps straight toward Brainiac's ship. Clark isn't able to reach it, but tries again to exert himself to go further, which he does as he begins flying. Finally able to reach Brainiac's ship, Clark confronts the alien. They fight as it consists of Clark destroying multiple drones and throwing Brainiac in a containment cell. However, without Brainiac controlling the ship, it stops working. This causes it to fall towards Earth's surface. Clark isn't able to control the ship without using technology from his rocket, so he flies out and using all of his strength guides it to an extremely unpopulated area. The location is the Arctic, where later Clark, using the Jor-El AI from his rocket among the other technology inside of it, establishes a fortress of solitude. From here, he can peacefully learn more about Krypton and hopefully work to free other civilizations trapped by Brainiac. Returning to work at the Daily Planet after his brief hiatus, Clark wonders if anyone has recognized him. There, he sees Lois reveal the front page story: Superman saves Metropolis from mysterious alien invasion. Clark cautiously asks about the name Superman, to which Lois responds, calling him superhuman or Samaritan wouldn't fit in the title with the rest of the words, or sound as good. Clark responds that he likes it, to which he thinks is ironic as the House of L symbol looks like an S. Now embracing being Superman and the last son of Krypton, he flies off to help the people in Metropolis. We hope you enjoyed our take on a Superman movie. Obviously, Man of Steel 2 is something that we all here hope to see happen someday, but if it has to get rebooted, this is exactly what I personally would want to see from a Superman movie. Bring in Brainiac, embrace the alien side, and me personally, I love that little red sun twist there. Let us know what you thought in the comment section down below, but that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.